Hey, brother.
Hey, Al.
And welcome everyone back to another episode of Siblings in Crime. I'm Allie Rossell.
And I'm Blake Murphy.
And just as it sounds, we are siblings who love true crime.
Yes, we love it.
Love it. Yes. As dark as that sounds.
She loves it. I think it's interesting.
Me as well. Don't make me sound like a freak. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, rate, follow, comment, everything else. We are Siblings in Crime Pod on all platforms. Anything about that?
No. What
Cool.
do you mean?
I don't know if there's anything you want to add before we just go straight into this week's case.
No, I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, let's do it. So this week's case is a little upsetting, as they all are, and it starts in California. The Mercy Road Bridge crosses a shallow canyon that most drivers speed over without ever looking down. But in the last week of 1986, just after the holidays, that bridge became the center of one of San Diego's darkest memories. When a young woman's car was found just beyond the exit ramp, investigators believed they were looking at a routine missing person case. By morning, it would become anything but routine. This is the homicide case of Cara Knott. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll.
You love that. All right, like I said, it's the last week. It's Saturday, December 27th, 1986. It was just ordinary day as it always is right after the holidays. Everyone's kind of calming down. The excitement is settling. 20-year-old Cara Knott had spent the previous 2 days in Escondido. I don't even know if I said that right. California names are so hard, I'm always going to say I'm wrong. Fight me, I don't even care. She was caring for her boyfriend, Wayne, who had the flu over the holidays. And so then rather than really spending time with either their families, she's kind of caring for her boyfriend. They had been together for 3 years at this point. By that evening, Wayne was feeling better, and so around 8 p.m.-ish, Cara decided to head back to her parents' house, which is about 30 to 45 minutes south, and it was in El Cajon, something like that. And all she had to do was take Interstate 15 to get there. So before leaving, her family was super close. So she picked up the phone, called her parents, say, hey, I'm coming over. I'll be there in 30, 45 minutes, whatever. So the parents didn't think anything of it. It's super normal for them to all check in.
Wait, what time of day is it?
This is around 8 p.m. that she's going to be leaving her boyfriend's house. So she shouldn't get there any later than, I don't know, if it's 45 minutes at max, maybe 9:30 at the latest. So she lets them know. They're excited to see her. They haven't seen her much the holidays. And what we do know is that around 8:30-ish, Cara stopped at a Chevron station on Via Rancho Parkway to fill her tank, and then she was going to continue her drive. So that's like the last transaction we have of Cara. The night was cool and clear. Traffic thinned out as she passed through the northern edge of San Diego County. She kept to the right lane, a familiar route she'd driven dozens of times, obviously between her boyfriend and her parents' house. And sometime after 9:30 p.m., she vanished. When 10 o'clock came and went with no sign of her, the Knotts began calling their friends. And, this is so unlike her. She called in advance. Obviously, they don't really have cell phones at this time, so it's not like they can just check up on her or anything like that. But by midnight, Cara's father and sister were in the car, and they were tracing the highway themselves. So family was going out patrolling on their own, going the routes that they think she would have taken, searching for anything that would indicate where Cara could have gone. They drove until the early morning hours but saw nothing. No car, no movement, just empty freeway and literally just nothing else. At sunrise on December 28th, so now it's like she left 8 p.m. or next morning. A passing motorist noticed the tire tracks veering off the Mercy Road off-ramp, an unfinished access road on the east side of I-15. The white Volkswagen Beetle sat quietly off a dirt turnout. The driver's side door was depending on reports, some say it was just unlocked, some say it was a little bit open.
Wait, is this a view? She has a good view of
anything? It's easy to see from I-15?
Yeah, maybe. But would she be stopping to look at the ocean or look at the city or something?
No. It's also dark. It's past 8
maybe
p.m.
city.
Yeah, maybe. But no, this was like known as a dark area. This was like only access through like construction workers. Like it's not a cool place to hang out. And it's probably kind of a scary place to hang out, honestly. It's kind of like the classic overpass where you don't go because it's sketchy.
Whoa.
Right. So it's not a great place to be stopping. But regardless, when this like person.
I have a theory.
Oh, that was quick.
A fake cop pulled her over.
I like the theory.
Thanks.
When the motorists called in this car, they also found her purse, her ID, her belongings. So they knew right off the bat when they found
Was her ID out?
Oh, no.
Wow.
Got him. Good call. Deputies arrived minutes later, widening the search, and they looked over the guardrail. Below, about 65 feet down, they saw her. Cara's body lay among the brush and rock at the base of the bridge. Yeah. The coroner would later determine that she had been strangled and beaten sometime between 9:45 and 10:15 the night before.
Jeez.
So by mid-morning of December 28th, this case... Okay. Cool.
I burped and like stuck it.
It's gross.
I'm trying not to make it a sound.
Hilarious. So by mid-morning the next day, so December 28th, 1996, the Mercy Road turnout had become a controlled crime scene. Deputies from San Diego County Sheriff's Department sealed the area with yellow tape while crime scene technicians began photographing every footprint, every tire track. This is going to be a big case surrounding forensics, and that's what caught my attention. A small crowd gathered along the overpass rail. Everyone's trying to see what's going on.
What year is this again?
1986.
1986.
Yeah. So, at first, there was no sign of forced entry, no evidence of robbery, no indication of sexual assault. Her keys remained in the ignition. Everything seemed pretty normal, actually. Like, the car itself seemed like it was in great condition. So it's like kind of startling that they're like, how does she end up from here and then down the bridge? Evidence markers multiplied quickly. So the tire impressions leading from the pavement to the turnout, a few faint shoe impressions near the driver's side door, several small fibers caught on the edge of her sweater, and on one boot what appeared to be a tiny droplet of blood. Crazy that they can determine and find these little details. Mm-hmm. I am not detailed.
I'm always enough. What if it was already there?
True.
It always spooks me out.
Yeah, and especially like things with small fibers on her sweatshirt. It's crazy to me that will stick. Like obviously, she had fallen 65 feet. It's crazy to me that anything would be left on like fibers and stuff like that. Like that's crazy to me that they can go and find these like small little things that could be relevant or could not be.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that job would be stressful. You're like looking over everything, trying to find something. It's like whenever I lose something, I always have like this weird image in my head of it like looking at me from like under the bed, and I just can't see it, and I'm like reaching. I'm like, oh, I guess it's not there.
Hilarious! I've never thought like
when
that.
I was a little kid.
What the?
I'm like, what if it's just looking at me right now? And wanting me to find it, but I can't.
Wait, that's so sad.
I know.
That's kind of sad, actually. That's interesting. I can't say I've done that, but quite the perspective. Mm-hmm. So at this stage, they couldn't tell whose was whose, like you said. Like, is it even relevant? Everything would have to be sent to the State Forensic Lab in Los Angeles for testing. The preliminary report that afternoon listed what they knew and what they didn't. So the time of death, roughly between 9:45, 10:15. Mm-hmm. The cause, strangulation and blunt force trauma. The weapon was undetermined and the motive was unknown up to this point. So in any homicide, investigators start close to the home, as we know. That same morning, deputies interviewed Wayne, the boyfriend, and surprisingly, his father, Dr. George, I'm going to butcher this, Bautista. Bautista?
That seems so common.
I've never heard it before. Names are my worst. He also lived nearby. Wayne explained that Cara had spent the past 2 days with him, all the same story we've already heard, and that she left his house around 9 o'clock the night before. So maybe it was closer to 9. She called her family closer to 8. That she called the family, said she was leaving, and when she didn't arrive, he says that he and his family also drove the highway searching up until early that morning. So they were going kind of from the other direction. One family's going up north, one family's traveling south. They're kind of meeting in the middle. Detectives photographed his hands, his arms, checked his car, and collected his clothes that he wore that night. And they actually found no scratches, no blood, no trace of evidence, nothing linking him to the scene. Mm-hmm. But because of the way Cara's car was just parked, seemingly intentional, made investigators believe that she had to have known her killer. Because of this, they took it one step further. And Cara had once worked part-time for...
Or a fake cop pulled her over.
So she had worked part-time for the dad, Dr. George. Yeah.
That's why
they're
looking at him.
Right, exactly. He was a veterinarian, so he had his own clinic. And according to his own son, she had spoken with the dad, actually, on the phone briefly before she left the son's place, Wayne's place. Mm-hmm. So naturally, the detectives thought maybe something was said over the phone. Maybe they had to link up for some reason, for whatever reason. Maybe they crossed paths.
Business.
Right, something. Detectives jumped on this lead, but as with most things with this case, it's kind of like a go, 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 and then you have to wait for more answers to come. Mm-hmm. Because clinic reports and employee statements showed that he had completed evening appointments earlier that night, like before Cara had left. So for the time being, they had to wait to make sure that his alibi was airtight. However, his vehicles and clothing were examined and nothing appeared out of place at this time. With no obvious suspect, detectives were left with the highway itself. So the Mercy Road ramp was unfinished and unlit. Kind of like I was saying, it's not a place that you want to hang out. It's not like anything's cool over there or whatever.
There's no view.
Yeah, no view, nothing going on. It's like rarely used except for like construction crews and things like that. I don't know. Whoever Cara met there or had come across stopped her within a narrow 10-minute window and left behind almost nothing to identify him. Lab testing would take weeks, and for now the evidence bags only hold possibilities. So they had fibers, tracks, faint marks of boots, and those are the things they're really trying to rely on. So in the meantime, they're just trying to do good old-fashioned detective work, which, honestly, that's like such a cool job. Like the fact that they can just like follow leads like that, that'd be so tough.
Yeah, it'd drive me crazy.
Yeah, I'm not a good patient person.
Yeah. It's like, tell me.
Same. Be honest, please. For real, I would totally be like that.
But yeah, it is cool when it's like coming together, but when it doesn't, that'd be frustrating.
Especially you have those cases that are cold for like 20 years.
Yeah, it's like just diving back into it, and it's like, I don't know. That'd be rough, I think.
You look at the same evidence over and over and over.
Yeah.
You have to be very patient to be a detective, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. The Mercy Road scene gave detectives almost nothing to work with. In the first week of January 1987, they tried to rebuild Cara's final moments from like putting all these pieces together, including witness testimonies and tips that were kind of pouring in at the time. Each morning, investigators spread maps across the briefing table. It's exactly how I imagine it. This is how I picture like in Criminal Minds, you know? They have like their little break room area. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm envisioning. They have like this map of like people saying that they had sightings here and sightings there, and they're piecing this puzzle together. And like dozens of calls came in saying they saw a young woman in a light-colored car along I-15, which I feel like is very vague. And a Volkswagen Beetle is so specific. I feel like you wouldn't get that confused, but most were vague, a few specific enough to check, but none that brought them closer to a suspect. That is, until a report came about a hitchhiker. Within days of the murder, a local man came forward saying he had seen a Hispanic or Mexican man hitchhiking along I-15 near Mercy Road sometime around 9 p.m. on December 27th. Which, the fact that people can say that, I have no idea what day or time it is ever. I'm not observant. So, eyewitnesses, as we know, aren't our best sources. Mm-hmm. Evidently, this is kind of roughly, I guess, the same window that Cara disappeared. He described the man as being in his 20s, wearing dark clothes, and standing near a Volkswagen-type vehicle. The account caught detectives' attention immediately, of course. The possibility that Cara had pulled over to, like, help someone or hitchhike or something like that sounds way more like her personality. She's like described as the outgoing, fun, like full of service. Like, she sounds like she's so stellar. Like, great person, gorgeous, all the things.
Way more common to pick up hitchhikers back in the day.
True, which we have learned, if you are a listener, I'm not allowed to pick up hitchhikers anymore.
Nope.
I know. I guess it's less common now, but you never know who you could get.
I feel like I haven't seen a hitchhiker in a long time, though.
Yeah, I guess it has been a little while for me, too. That's a good point. Maybe because people know, like, we're all scared of hitchhikers.
And I haven't really, like, driven long distances, just, like, around the city and stuff. And I feel like that's not very common.
I wonder if there's better public transportation.
Yeah. One time I picked up this hitchhiker because he was at the gas station and he needed to go somewhere. And I was like, nah, he's a nice guy. Like,
how do you determine he's a nice guy?
I know.
The way he asked?
Yeah. But, like, I was supposed to be meeting Tatum for something because we were going to, like, a baseball game or something. And I was going to be late. She was frustrated. But it was funny because I picked him up and like 5 minutes in, I was like, yeah, man, so what do you do? He's like, I just got out of jail. And I was like, whoa, freak.
You do not have a good radar.
I know. I mean, he could be still a good guy getting out of jail, but yeah.
I would have been like, spooky. So tell me what you're in for. I'm pulling over right now.
No, I was just like, oh, yeah, no, let's keep going. Let's drop you off real quick.
Hilarious. Oh, yeah, congratulations.
Good for you, man. How many years? He's like 50 years. I'm like, whoa.
Parking immediately. That'd be terrifying.
Just kidding.
Yeah, so it obviously wasn't as uncommon back then, but also she just had that personality where she wanted to help where she could.
Yeah.
So to investigators, like, that's a good lead. That makes sense. Like, why else would you be over in this area? It seems sketchy.
Yeah.
But as the interviews went on, the hard thing is with eyewitnesses, the story begins to shift because the timeline kind of wavered. The exact location kind of moved north and south. It was like hard to pinpoint what he truly saw, and no other motorist recalled seeing a hitchhiker that night, and no evidence placed anyone else on foot near Mercy Road exit. But I'm always curious. I'm like, how do you know that no motorist saw? Because I would, like, if you're not involved in the news, you have, like, no idea that they're even looking for a hitchhiker or...
Yeah, I always wonder that, too. I know news is helpful because a lot of people watch it, but...
Yeah.
A lot of old people.
Yeah, but less these days, too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe TikTok, like they post the news post on TikTok, which helps.
Yeah, these
like
days.
those kids that were murdered in the mountains.
Yeah,
recently.
in Arizona. So sad.
Yeah, we all know because
that's true.
TikTok.
TikTok has been good for that
They
reason.
found the guy.
So horrible. I hate that.
Or suspect.
Yeah, I guess that's suspect. Allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Investigators eventually determined that the account was too wishy-washy and did not align with Cara's known movements from the gas station timestamp to, like, where they found her car. So the tip was logged and put away, but at the time they just couldn't do anything else with it. That's the type of stuff that would, like, really start to bother me as a detective. I'm like, okay, this could be huge or this could be nothing.
Yeah, it could be like my lost thing.
Yeah,
Just
looking
there,
at
like,
you.
ready
That's
to
so sad.
reach out and.
I feel like that's a Toy Story like point of view.
I know, it's really weird. That's what I always think about.
Huh? Maybe because of Toy Story.
Maybe.
So, by the end of the first week, detectives had exhausted nearly every lead that they had at this point, and they'd spoken with her boyfriend and his father, which I might add at this point now that they are verified alibis, and they were ruled out, both of them. They checked nearby businesses for security footage, which none existed at the time.
Yeah, I bet it was really crappy if there was.
Yeah, and this
just like a
late
blob
80s.
Of walking.
I know. That could literally be a man, woman, child. Who knows? Yeah, those are so bad.
All we know is there's two blobs.
Yeah, that's a shadow. Get them. The physical evidence sat in laboratory queues waiting for analysis, so they're still, like, doing other stuff in the meantime. So press conferences continued daily, but there was nothing new to say because really they were, like, at a standpoint. Mm-hmm. And it's only a weekend.
At a standpoint?
What is the word?
At a standstill.
Standstill? Whatever. It stalled. Yeah. So then a local TV producer reached out to the California Highway Patrol about filming, like, a community safety segment shindig, like, for drivers, especially women, and how they can stay safe while traveling alone. Because at this time, this is, like, actually booming in the media where people are scared to drive by themselves. which is such an interesting thing because you feel like you're safe in your car. But, I mean, you ask any woman, everyone's scared to, like, pump their gas by themselves at a gas station at night and stuff like that. And so, they're like, well, maybe this will bring attention. Maybe they'll come up more leads. And so, with nothing to lose, the CHP, the California Highway Patrol, agreed. They chose a familiar stretch of Interstate 15 for the filming, which was actually not far away from the Mercy Road off-ramp, which is kind of eerie to me. I'm like, why would you do it near, like, this crime scene? Scary. While out patrolling the I-15 for this said highway safety video, the reporter and the officer they brought along happened to come across a car that was parked on the side of the road. They decided to use this man as a teaching opportunity and it
was the guy,
and interview him as part of their segment along with safety tips from the CHP. So here's a snippet of that clip.
Just stay in the vehicle, lock all the doors, turn on the emergency flashers, and wait for help to come. Even if you have to wait all night, it's better to be in the safety of your vehicle and spend the night than to try to walk and get assistance. Anything could happen. Being a female, you could be raped, robbed if you're a male, all the way to where you could be killed. Once you get in that other person's car, you're at their mercy.
The gas tank is broken under the bottom, right? And you can't fill it up.
The bottom line, though, is that preventing all this trouble is easy. Be sure your car works, and as simple as it sounds, be sure you've got gas. Because even if you're lucky enough to get some, you still may be taking your life in your own hands.
Do you realize how dangerous it is?
Yes, I realize. In fact, I was putting the gas in, and an 18-wheeler came by and almost blew me away. Truthfully.
Within hours of the broadcast, the Sheriff's Department and CHP switchboards lit up.
Switchboards?
There we go. I was like, are you not listening at all? I would have been like, what the heck is that?
I kind of assumed that it was like some kind of like control of like how they get all their calls or something.
Yeah, it is. I was like, I read an article that said that, and I was like, I've never heard that before. I assumed it had to do with calls, but I guess it's like the main telephone operator. And then, like, when a call comes in, it's, like, the central where they, like, go off to, like, the right department or whatever. So, basically, all the lines were getting occupied because everyone's calling in.
Yeah.
Viewers, mostly women, were calling, their voices shaking, to say that they recognized the man on the TV. He was.
That guy's like, oh, frick.
I know. He was, they said, the same patrolman who has stopped them on the night on I-15.
I got it right.
Not fake, though. By the end of the week...
Oh, he's a real guy? The patrolman.
The patrolman. Oh, you thought that he was the fake.
Yeah, I thought they pulled over a guy and he was like that. He's like, oh, crap.
No, he was just a normal pedestrian. Nice guy.
Oh, cool.
So they're saying that they identified this patrolman that is doing the safety segment. Crazy. By the end of the week, nearly 24 women had come forward with nearly the same accounts. They would report being alone at night on Interstate 15, ordered by a loudspeaker to pull off near Mercy Road for a minor, like, violation. First of all, I was like, I didn't know cops ever had, like, a PA thing going, pull over!
You ever had that happen?
You've had that happen to you?
Like when I was in trouble as a kid, they'd be like, stop, like, I don't know. They, like, say stuff.
Tell me more. Sure. What situation were you in? That
I don't know. I don't remember.
No, I've never been yelled at through a cop car. A speaker.
I have.
Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. But especially getting pulled over. You see lights and you pull over. You wouldn't think that you need someone to announce it.
Yeah, that's the weird part. We were, like, outside.
Yeah, which I feel like that would make more sense. The officer urged each woman to sit in his patrol car and spoke casually or was a little flirty and then released them without a citation. At times, he would keep these women in his patrol car anywhere between 30 to 90 minutes. And this is so weird because he'd be like, hey, like, one of your lights are dim. Come sit in my car for safety while I write this up, and then keep them in his car for however long he wants and just ask them if they have boyfriends and what their friends are like. Weird questions. Detectives compared the reports against CHP logs and realized many of these stops were never officially logged. The pattern that had eluded them for weeks was suddenly more clear, and it all began with public safety video designed to restore the trust. The investigation that had been drifting without direction now had a name, a face, and a reason to look inside its own ranks, specifically at Officer Craig Peyer.
So I was wrong, but kind of right.
Yeah, you had the right idea, but the
Who
wrong
knows?
execution.
Maybe he's not the guy.
Fair. Detectives began taking statements one after another. Each woman arrived nervous, but certain of what she remembered. By the end of the week, 12 official reports had been filed. 3 of those witnesses would become central to the case, but all of them would be used. On one October night, a few months before Cara's murder, Georgia Fontana had been driving south on I-15 when she saw patrol lights flashing behind her. The officer's voice came through the loudspeaker, calm and professional, directing her to pull off at Mercy Road. She did what anyone would do, and she just followed his instructions. When she stopped, the officer told her that she hadn't done anything wrong, but he wanted to make sure that she was all right. Which I would be so scared for some. I'm like, I was fine until you pulled me over. Mm-hmm. Then he invited her to sit inside his patrol car while he checked her information for safety reasons, evidently. And Georgia said that the tone of the conversation quickly turned personal. He asked about her job, her friends, her car. Before letting her go, he handed her his business card and personal phone number, telling her if she ever needed help leasing a car to call him. That is so weird to me. She's like,
Leasing?
Why? Yeah. I don't know why. Okay, that's just her statement. She left the encounter unsettled, but she didn't know what to make of it, so she just left. But until she saw his face again on the news, was she freaked out once again, realizing it was the same man. A few weeks later, after that encounter, Mary Howerton was driving on the same stretch of highway, just like everybody else, when she was pulled over, and thinking it was a simple fix that one of her headlights was flickering, the officer told her it looked dim and suggested that she just rest her headlights for a few minutes. Odd behavior. Some of the things are like,
tired.
Yeah, some of the things that he pulled people over, like, your headlights aren't aligned. What the heck does that even mean? So, like, weird things that you shouldn't be getting pulled over for. Mm-hmm. Then he invited her to get into his car while he wrote a note up about the light, but she actually refused. The officer leaned against her open window, talking for several minutes, trying to be friendly, but he was intrusive, and she remembered him reaching toward her hair, brushing a strand away, and saying that it looked nice. And then there was no ticket written. He told her to be careful and walked away. And then when she saw him on a TV segment weeks later, she froze because it was the same man. Mm-hmm. The last person that we're going to talk about as far as these witnesses go is on the night Cara Knott was killed, Karen Anderson, a gas station attendant along I-15, that same Chevron, saw a CHP officer she knew as kind of a regular at their gas station. He was just getting coffee or something. And it was around 10 p.m. when he walked in. She testified that he looked flushed and nervous with fresh scratches on his face. When she asked if everything was all right, he smiled and said it had been, quote, one hell of a night. He paid for his gas, dabbed his face with a rag, and left. Weeks later, after seeing the same face on television, she called investigators because it was the same man. So by the time detectives started comparing statements from the women who called in, CHP supervisors were like, oh, crap. They're so uneasy. They were like, no way it could be one of our own. And actually, it's kind of weird.
How long has it been?
It's only been a few weeks, like 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really quick. And it's kind of weird. He has a nickname called Hot Pencil. That sounds so gross. Because he writes everyone up. Like, he's good at his job where he, like, is putting out citations left and right. He's known to be very, like, professional, very well-groomed, like, kind of like almost OCD.
By the book?
By the book. His, on some reports, it says that his wife polishes his badge every day because he is very passionate about that. So just a weird dude. He seems like very structured in everything he does. And so
Likes that he's the boss.
Yeah, he feels like he is it.
Yeah,
he's that
the
man.
cop.
Right.
He's authority.
And so his coworkers are like, okay, no way. Or not necessarily his coworkers, but like the actual investigation department. They like are having a hard time believing this. And so the investigative team started to have their own little meetings amongst like Peyer's colleagues to try and sort through what they knew up to this point and stories they've heard from him and trying to put things into place. So it's kind of funny. This is how I picture it. the investigators like going around to colleagues when he's not there and like trying to hear like, oh, what did he say happened to his face? And oh, like, did you see him on this day and the day after? So they're trying to hear all the different point of views of Peyer's week, the same week that Cara was murdered.
What's his name?
Craig Peyer.
Craig Peyer.
Peyer, yeah.
Peyer.
And Peyer.
Peyer,
yeah. And so they wanted to get all the stories before they ever talked to him to see if there's obvious slips in the truth, right? So, the morning after the murder, Peyer reported for duty as usual. Colleagues later described him as restless and distracted, asking dispatchers and fellow officers what they'd heard about the body off of Mercy Road. He wanted to know which detectives were handling the case. He wanted to know if there was any trace evidence that had been found. Okay, that's the thing. I was like, why do people...
But if you have no reason to think anything, you're like, maybe he just knows her or something.
Yeah. Nosy?
No, knows her.
Oh,
or
no.
like knows someone that knows her.
Maybe.
Like wants to be involved because like he feels protective or something. That's probably what I would think.
You would think that he would call her by Cara then instead of the body on the Mercy Road.
Yeah, true.
Or like a little more personal or a little more emotional. Mm-hmm. He seems like he's just more nosy than anything else.
Or maybe like a neighbor knows her.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that.
But one dispatcher recalled that he had actually talked about an autopsy before the medical examiner's report had ever been made public, that they were even working on that. And so he's asking autopsy questions. And in one encounter 4 days after the murder, a San Diego police officer testified that Peyer stopped her on a highway, which is weird enough, to ask about the investigation. He stopped an investigator to ask her about the investigation. He pressed her for details about fingernail scrapings, about whether there was blood under the victim's nails, and volunteered his own theories that maybe had been an accident or something that had gotten out of control. And when she didn't give him any information, he actually corrected her about which side of the bridge the body had been thrown from, and then left. I'm like, if I was the investigator, I'd be like, guilty. I don't know anything about this man. This is him. We found him.
Yeah, that's...
Like, that's such an idiot move.
Yeah, how stupid can you be?
Like, people like this, I'm like, okay, are you just that narcissistic that you're like, I have to be the one that knows everything? And so, and like, she was like, Cara was like this beautiful, like, her and her mom took a self-defense class together. And that actually comes up later that maybe she was the only one that was fighting back.
Or like not let him in. Or
exactly. She had the personality, stand her ground and protect herself. And
made him mad or something.
Yeah, that's what happens. Like, not that, it shouldn't have happened to this, but like with people who of authority who think they're better than everyone else, like you hear that as a personality trait. If you judge their authority, you know, that they could snap. It's scary. Co-workers also remembered how he looked that night. One fellow CHP officer testified that during a traffic stop around 10:30 p.m. on December 27th, that same day, that Peyer's uniform appeared disheveled, his shirt untucked, and his demeanor agitated, which obviously is very unusual for someone that we just talked about that is very meticulous about his appearance and like all that. And by the week's end, supervisors noticed that he had been rewriting his patrol logs, erasing and adjusting times for traffic stops made that night. I'm sure these days it's digital.
Yeah.
But at the time, like on their paperwork, it's like obvious erase smears and like changing the time frames that he pulled people over.
Yeah.
So all this is starting to pile up as circumstantial evidence. So they're going to need forensics. Before detectives would perform a formal interview, they want to make sure they heard everyone's accounts to make sure that when they talk to him, they'll know if he's telling the truth or if he's been lying to everybody or what. See if there's any inconsistencies. Because one thing he could not hide were those scratch marks on his face. The day after he received these scratches, he told some fellow coworkers, this is so dumb, that he had fallen into a fence. And surprisingly, he has always stuck to that same version of the story. He said that he had slipped on spilled gasoline at the fueling area at the department or whatever and hit a fence that cut his face. And he even suggested that he might have scratched himself with his own fingernails while trying to break his fall. I feel like you would know how you felt, what happened, all that stuff.
He's like, ah.
I know, exactly. Exactly. So weird. Investigators are like, that does not look like a fall. That doesn't resemble like your own fingernail scratch marks. When investigators later examined this said fueling area and the fence, they found no scuff marks, stains, or damage, which I don't know if you would even have those things if you just fell. But one thing that stood out to me is that the section of chain link fence that he was talking about was set back several feet and stood lower than face height, making it physically difficult for someone to fall hard enough to cause the scratches that he had. And also, it wasn't a natural place. It's not like there'd be a huge fuel puddle over there. Also, is fuel really slippery? I imagine, like, on street.
Yeah. It's like people who are, like, kind of chubby and they fall and they, like, fall for, like,
sad. Yeah, that's so sad. Just, like, the lack of being able to hold yourself up, agility.
Yeah, they just, like, fall forever.
I know. I feel like you have those TikToks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But none of Peyer's coworkers on duty reported seeing or hearing about this accident when it happened, nor was there any, like, fueling spill logged or anything that evening. So now armed with everyone's personal accounts, it was time to deep dive into the evidence and the forensics. So within the California Highway Patrol, the CHP, Peyer was still on duty, unaware of the growing case around him, which is so funny to me because you just know his colleagues are like, oh crap, like this could be a killer. And he's just like, another day on duty, like arrogant son of a gun. Mm-hmm. So this is even funnier to me. Not that any of this is funny, but just how lame this guy is. To examine his car without raising an alarm, CHP supervisors told him that his patrol vehicle had been chosen for a public relations campaign, a highway patrol advertisement, meant to showcase well-mannered cruisers. And so they asked to borrow his to get it detailed and photographed. And he's like, yep, here's the keys. I'm so proud of my vehicle. Do whatever you want with it. And so he takes that as a badge of honor. And they take his car and drive it straight over to the San Diego Police Department's forensic garage, where technicians began a top-to-bottom evidence sweep.
Gotcha.
That's like so on brand with his personality. You know that they study behavior because they're like, this will get him.
Yeah, and they know him. They're like,
yeah, like this guy eats this up.
Yeah.
Especially considering he was the one that was on the interview for the safety briefing video. You can tell that he eats this stuff up.
Yeah.
So inside the
cruiser.
That part's
crazy.
Yeah, and the video is just so much more chilling knowing that officer has been around very suspicious encounters. So
I feel like if I guess I wasn't there, obviously. But for me, if I saw that guy and he's like telling me to be safe and then there he's on a show, I'm like, maybe that's his job is to like tell people
maybe he's
to be
like
safe.
that. Yeah, for sure.
Unless it was creepy, which it sounds like they're all creepy, so maybe not.
I know that some of these women actually reported like a weird encounter with the police officer before the news segment. So it must have been creepy enough where they're like, hey, this is odd police behavior. Yeah. Like, so I know he's gotten some write-ups prior. So I imagine just seeing that like threw him over the edge. But yeah, that's a good point. I'd be like, okay, well, that makes sense. He's the safety patrol guy. Yeah. He's making sure I was safe.
Yeah, he's really good at it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that actually. So I'm glad that these women all decided to step up. But,
yeah, me too.
And as if the circumstantial stuff wasn't enough, they start deep diving inside the cruiser. Forensic analysis vacuumed and combed through the entire interior. Under ultraviolet light and magnification.
Nice.
Can't even say it right. Whatever. Magnifying glasses, I'm sure. They collected trace fibers embedded in the seat, cushions, floor mats, and door trim. The samples were small, just threads invisible basically to the naked eye, but their color and composition stood out. Laboratory analysis showed that fibers were purple polyester, matching the fabric of the sweatpants Cara Knott had worn the night she was killed. Ooh. Which is so crazy to me. I'm like, she didn't get out of her car. Like, it's weird that it's in his vehicle. But also, that many locations. Like, there's, like, 3 different locations at least that they found this fiber. So my initial thought was, like, is there anything else that he has? Because it seems like a lot of places to have this random...
She never got in his car?
I guess we don't know the full story. That's this suspicion that she was the defiant one, wouldn't get in his car.
I know, but maybe she got in and then he started asking weird questions.
Yeah, it's a good point. Maybe she did get in.
There really wouldn't be a reason for her to have stuff in the car. If she
That's what I was saying. I was like, could have been something else he has, right?
She got in. He started asking weird questions. She's like, I'm out. And he's like, no. And then they started fighting.
That's a good point. Yeah, a forensic scientist later testified that the fibers, dye, weave, and texture were identical under microscopic comparison. It wasn't a few stray strands. Multiple fibers were consistent with Cara's clothing, were found in different parts of the patrol vehicle. Like I said, but the interesting to me is the driver's side seat and door seal. So it leaves me to believe that maybe it was on him and he transported it to his car. But I just don't know how that stuff works. It seems crazy that a little fiber would do that. I don't know anything about forensics.
Same.
Additional purple fibers were later recovered from Peyer's left boot and from the barrel of his service revolver, suggesting direct physical contact. That's the other thing. I'm like, he's been wearing these work boots for 3 weeks, and you guys found a little piece of purple polyester on it? I just do not understand how fiber works. I'm convinced.
Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
You just don't understand it.
But it's crazy that they found this many little microscopic pieces. So right off the bat, they're like, purple polyester. It matches her sweatpants. It's weird that it's all over you in your car.
Yeah.
Very weird.
But that's why that's why forensics is awesome.
Yeah, forensics sweet. During the forensic search of Peyer's patrol car, technicians lifted the trunk mat and discovered a length of braided rope tucked beneath the spare tire compartment. So there was 3 ropes in his tire compartment. 2 belonged to the CHP. Those were the police ropes. 1 did not match the other 2 ropes, and they are led to believe that it was his own personal rope that he has brought and tucked there. Upon inspection, the braid diameter and fiber composition were found to be identical to the pattern that caused her injuries, because we know she was strangled. Laboratory testing showed that the same 3-strand nylon twist was distinctive, fraying at one end, consistent with the rope used to strangle her. So at this point to me, I'm like, lock him up. The CHP issued that no such rope was used in their own department, and so surely that was his own. At the crime scene, investigators had also documented 2 parallel tire impressions left in the dirt near Cara's abandoned car. So it's like obvious, like a skid out type of thing. They measured it, and it ended up being the exact rear wheel spacing and tread with Peyer's patrol vehicle, measuring at 53 inches. To me, I'm like, is that really that specific? Like, are most cars 53 inches? I don't know. But considering they have these fibers and other things, I think it's just an additional layer. Not only that, upon examining the evidence left behind on Cara, a tiny blood droplet on the boot. Remember that? I was like, they're not going to get anything from that, first of all. Second of all, what if it's not blood? However, they find out that it's type AB negative. And it's like a very rare type of blood. Like, that's like the rarest type of blood.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's fewer than 1% of San Diego's county residents at the time. Yeah, look it up. See, what is the rarest type of blood? It should be AB negative. I don't even know my blood type, actually.
AB negative.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew it. You wouldn't guess what Peyer's medical file says.
AB negative.
AB negative, exactly. So while not conclusive by like modern DNA standards, because we can't do like all the genetic testing that we can today, at the time in 1987, they're like, that's a huge deal. Like, it's the rarest type of DNA. What are the chances? So that carried a lot of weight at the time. Meanwhile, a review of his citation log exposed carefully timed corrections. Like we said, it was obvious it had been altered. It had been reviewed by like a handwriting expert that they switched the time from 10:20 p.m. to 9:20 p.m. and that it had done on a different day, not the same day he was writing, which is kind of crazy. You can tell all that. So like this mistake that the officer said he was just correcting wasn't so coincidental. It's like, okay, that timed out perfectly where it's before your Cara's murder. Like, yeah, right. Yeah. So, last thing, if that wasn't enough, at the same time that all this happening, they're reviewing all the forensics. They're going through everything. Literally geniuses doing this stuff, I'm sure. Yeah. At the same time, technicians analyzing Cara's clothing found something very distinctive. A single golden rayon fiber clinging to the shoulder area of her sweatshirt. Under the microscope, its structure and sheen were unmistakable. It matched the gold embroidery used in California Highway Patrol shoulder patches, specifically those from Peyer's uniform jacket, which is crazy. because the CHP uniform supplier confirmed that there's no other departments, first of all, that had the same type of thread or the gold rayon blend. I guess this type of rayon blend like is so outdated. Like no one's been using this type of fiber blend for like at least 8 to 10 years prior to this. Which I'm like, how does anyone know that? I don't even know what anything's made of. But they're like, one, this is super outdated, so it's already rare to find. 2, it's only on this department. And 3, when they match it, I think on one of the resources I said, they compared it to other CHP officers, and it didn't match the same way as it did to Peyer's uniform.
Whoa.
So it couldn't have been like a different guy in their department.
Because he was there longer.
He was.
Maybe. Like he has
he has, yeah, maybe.
The old version.
Yeah, maybe. Because he's been there for like 13 years or something.
Yeah.
When Peyer's jacket was later tested, like I said, a small fray on the patch edge matched the microscopic ends of the fiber from Cara's sweatshirt. Prosecutors would later call it the handshake between the two pieces of evidence, proof that her clothing and his uniform had come in contact.
Dang.
That's crazy. A little fiber. That's how I imagine it got ripped off. So in simple terms, if the purple fibers showed that there was contact, the golden rayon fiber showed who the contact was with.
Ooh.
So we got him.
Got him.
So each new report narrowed the gap between coincidence and certainty. Fibers from her clothing inside his car. Fibers from his clothing on her body. A rare blood type match. An altered citation moving his timeline out of reach. By late January, so like I said, this is a fast case. We're a month in. By late January, detectives no longer needed theories. They had physical proof. On paper, in fibers, and under a microscope, the story of what happened on Mercy Road was already written, and all they had to do now was bring him in. On the morning of January 15th, 1987, investigators arrived at Craig Peyer's Poway home with a warrant for his arrest. He answered the door calmly and nodded when he was told he was under arrest for the murder of Cara Evelyn Knott and was led away without resistance. By that afternoon, every news outlet in San Diego was carrying the story. The CHP officer who once taught women how to stay safe on the freeway had been charged with murdering Cara Knott.
That's crazy.
What? Like, that is so a cruel irony. That's
Yeah.
creepy.
Luckily, they selected him to do the
For
video.
sure. So on to the trial. The courtroom filled when the trial began on May 10th, 1988.
High profile.
High profile. It took like a year to get in the case. Because remember, 1986 was the murder. 1987 was when they figured it out. 1988 is now we're in trial. Prosecutors methodically built their timeline. The fibers tying her clothing, the rope hidden, AB negative, all the things we just talked about, obviously. Jurors also heard from more than a dozen women back to back to back, all testifying that this guy's a creep, that they got pulled over on the same road. One testifying that he made his little loudspeaker thing, when she got pulled over, told her to back up on the freeway to take that Mercy exit road. So it's like, does not seem like normal cop behavior. Usually you like take the next one, right? A good, well-lit area. So back to back to back, it's like there's no record of him ever pulling these people over, but they all have like the same story. So Craig Peyer took the stand in his own defense. He repeated the story about slipping on gasoline at the CHP fueling station, insisted he had never met Cara Knott, and accused detectives of twisting circumstantial clues into a false narrative. His attorneys warned the jury not to convict on fibers and fear. Which I'm like, fibers are like the most legit thing to testify on or to convict on. But that warning obviously did not work for the defense.
Yeah.
Thank you. You good? Because on June 23rd, 1988, after let's see, it started on May. Yeah, so a few weeks of trial. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 25 years to life in state prison.
Oh, wow.
Of course,
Got him.
usually I feel like it's so on brand for like people who are arrogant and narcissistic to be like appeal, like literally do everything to try to be above the law. And he was one of these guys.
I feel like everyone would do that.
I mean, yeah, but also like I feel like the reasons that he also appealed is dumb to me. So
Yeah. I just remember I have jury duty coming up.
when?
End of the month, I think.
Oh,
That reminded me when you said jury duty or something like that.
Makes sense, jury. So some of the things that he appealed, or the reasons he appealed, was one.
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah.
One, prosecutorial misconduct. He alleged that the district attorney's closing arguments unfairly inflamed the jury by portraying him as a predator in uniform. I'm like,
That's definition.
yeah. It's like, that's literally exactly what you are. So I don't know why you can fight that. 2, Brady material, which is he argued that the prosecutors failed to disclose evidence that might have supported his defense. 3, mishandling of contamination of evidence. His lawyers, I guess, contended that fiber samples and photographs were stored improperly, compromising the results, which is shocking to me. I can see that in some aspects, but I'm like, why would there be a direct match? How would it, like, mess it up to be the exact I don't know, whatever. I don't know anything about that, obviously. He talks about the hitchhiker evidence. He said that he claimed the judge wrongly, like, barred testimony about a supposed hitchhiker seen near the freeway that night, and that the cops didn't do enough to look into other suspects. And then the pretrial publicity. He said that extensive media coverage made the fair trial impossible to have, which I can see that being an actual issue. But in April 1989, the court rejected every single argument, concluding that, quote, the evidence of guilt was overwhelming and the trial was fundamentally fair. So the conviction and sentence were upheld in full. More than 3 decades later, Craig Peyer remains incarcerated, repeatedly denied parole. So he had 25 years minimum. That was in like 2013 that was up. And so he's been eligible for parole, but denied, and he still sits there today.
Yeah, it's probably because he doesn't accept responsibility.
That's exactly what it is. It says that his continued denial of responsibility is the reason that he stays incarcerated. That's funny. Look at you. You know your stuff. I'm so proud.
Thanks.
At the San Diego County Sheriff's headquarters, the Cara Knott Memorial Garden still blooms beside the canyon where she died. A quiet place of color and light where her father and her family once planted flowers for like every year they missed her. So they would have like this little section where it's a nice, beautiful garden they can go and think of Cara. Sam Knott, the dad, refused to let his daughter's death become another statistic. So I love when I hear victims' families make a change, because I can imagine that being so many hoops to jump through. And so it's so impressive that people are able to accomplish things like this. Because what Sam did was he lobbied lawmakers to abolish California's old 42-hour waiting period for missing persons that are over 18. And so, one, he was able to do that. He pushed instead for immediate response protocols that are now standard statewide, which is incredible.
Yeah.
He also helped expand the Highway Call Box program and built Cara Knott Memorial Garden, which still blooms outside the Sheriff's Department today. Through his grief, Sam ensured that Cara's story would save lives of strangers she'd never met. In December of 2000, as he did every week, Sam Knott visited the memorial garden he had built for his daughter. In a cruel or sweet irony, while trimming the roses and watering the beds, he suffered a fatal heart attack, collapsing in the very place he devoted to keeping Cara's spirit alive.
That's
like
crazy.
Yards from where her body was found. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Deputies later added a plaque beside her memorial honoring the father who turned heartbreak into protection for others. Today, both Cara Knott Memorial Garden at Sheriff's Headquarters and the Cara Knott Memorial Bridge, now what it's called, on I-15, stand as lasting symbols of a beautiful young woman taken too soon. And this is the story of Cara Knott.
Wow. That was crazy.
You kind of knew where it was going, but...
I almost did.
Almost. Pretty crazy. It's
But I
heartbreaking. I didn't talk enough about Cara because I could talk so highly with the interviews I watched. She sounds like literally the most loved, incredible person ever. But there was so much to this case. I really wanted to dive into the forensics. But yeah, the family still does everything they can to honor Cara, and I want to do the same for her. So, but before we leave, you got any true crime news?
I do.
Okay.
The first one we'll start off with is a Florida man is accused of starting what eventually became the Palisades fire.
What?
Yeah. So, a Florida man, I already said that. January Palisades fire. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California, on December 31st, 2024, 29-year-old Jonathan, I don't know, say Jonathan, worked a shift as an Uber driver and drove 2 passengers on separate trips between 10:15 and 11:15. The passengers reportedly told authorities they remembered that Jonathan appeared agitated and angry. Jonathan, who formerly lived in the area, allegedly dropped off a passenger in Pacific Palisades before driving towards Skull Rock Trailhead. There he tried to contact a former friend, walked up the trail, took videos on his iPhone, listened to rap music songs, which prosecutors said he had listened to repeatedly in previous days. The music video includes things being lit on fire. At approximately 12:12 a.m. on January 1st, the U.S. Attorney's Office said that the Latchman fire began. Jonathan reportedly called 911 several times during the next 5 minutes, but didn't get through because of cell phone was out of range. He eventually contacted the dispatch at the bottom of the hiking trail and reported the flames, but by that time, an individual in the area had already told authorities about the fires.
So you're telling me this guy, agitated, goes on a hike, listens to rap, it motivates him to light a fire. He tries to call the fire in, can't get a hold of anybody, goes down the hill.
I guess.
It's reported.
Yeah.
That is so weird. And how big was this fire, does it say?
Palisade fires. This was famous fires.
I thought that, but how big was it? I didn't know.
It was huge.
I don't know how big. I'm seeing how much it covered.
It killed like 12 people, I think.
Oh, 12.
Yeah, and that's the whole...
I remember hearing about that. I was just saying if it's like acres, like how big.
I could read on. It's kind of a long one.
Yeah. I was just curious on how much it covered.
A lot.
I didn't realize that 12 people actually died in that, though.
Yeah, I think I read that on this thing. I don't know if 12 is right.
Something like that?
I thought I saw that.
I didn't think it was that high of a number.
Women accused of murdering 5th husband after fatally shooting fiance.
Wait, what?
So, woman accused of murdering 5th husband after fatally shooting fiance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's confusing. So she had a fiance and a husband at the same time?
I don't know. Let me see. Sarah Hartsfield is facing trial in the death of her 5th husband, Joseph, after a tumultuous romantic history, including the fatal shooting of her fiance and an alleged murder plot targeting one of her ex-husband's new wives. That girl just sounds crazy.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I don't know if she killed 2 people or what, but yeah, she
confusing.
sounds insane. 5 husbands is... You're killing them.
That's scary.
You might have killed more.
That's a good point.
Allegedly. Las Vegas woman found dead in cardboard box in remote Arizona desert.
Sad.
Detectives are investigating a homicide after finding the body of a Las Vegas woman in a remote desert area of Arizona. Deputies respond near Windmill Ranch Road on September 5th after an individual located a deceased woman inside a large cardboard box. The reporting party allegedly owns the property and was checking on things when he made the discovery. The previous night, another person reportedly observed a car near the wash with the trunk open, but it was dark outside and he could not identify the vehicle. Officials tested the victim's fingerprints and identified her as 57-year-old Carolyn Ann Bosher, who the sheriff's office described as a transient from Las Vegas. According to authorities, Bosher had previously been arrested on charge of indecent exposure on August 30th, just days before her body was found.
Dang, that's sad.
Yeah, that is really crazy. Those are some of them for today. I've always heard about all the bodies they find in the lake by Vegas. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like where the mobs all put their bodies and stuff.
I kind of want to look into that more.
It is really creepy.
Yeah.
By the way, I looked it up. There were 12 deaths as of right that we know of for sure directly attributed to the fire.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
There's always true crime, and there's always sad things going on.
Yep.
So on a positive note, do you want to say anything about Ohio State before we see ya?
Yeah. Ohio State beat Minnesota pretty easily. I think it was 42-3. Cardinal Tate had a great game. Jeremiah Smith did really well too. 2 touchdowns. Defense shut him down. We have a big game against Illinois this weekend. It's going to be a good game. It's away, so we're going to have to show up ready to go in sleepy Champaign, Illinois. But yeah, I am excited for the game, and I have 2 TVs now in my front room, so I can watch
Right in the
Ohio
living
State,
room.
and whatever other good games on, and it's been really nice. So
Hilarious.
go Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes. All right, sweet. Well, thanks for listening this week. We'll be back next week with another episode of Siblings in Crime.
Adios.